Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Now joining us from the Niger Delta part of Nigeria are two environmental activists who will be discussing the situation in the oil-rich Niger Delta, where oil was discovered in Alagbarira in today's Bayelsa State in 1956. In the years that immediately followed that discovery, international oil companies began to establish a presence in the region, and their operations, both onshore and offshore, have expanded to virtually every part of the Gulf of Guinea. The activities of these international oil companies have been blamed for the overwhelming environmental degradation of the entire region. Incidentally, according to a recent study by Amnesty International, some of these oil companies, like Shell and Eni, have not been so forthcoming in accepting responsibility for their contribution to the pollution problems in the Niger Delta. Youths in the region have tried to counterbalance this situation with militancy, but that too seems to have had limited impact. For more perspective on this, we're now being joined by Sobomabo Jackrich, a former Niger Delta warlord and leader of Kengama Unity Forum. He's also popularly known as Igbere Papa, right?
Yes.
With him also is the president of Ijaw Youth Entrepreneurs and Investors, Sobomabo. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
Well, gentlemen, I mean, we understand that there's some restiveness in the Niger Delta, but other Nigerians are likely to say, what could be the cause of restiveness again? I mean, the matter of 13% derivation is likely to come back on the table, and the federal government has shown a willingness to at least look at the revenue allocation formula. Then, of course, at some point in Nigerian history, we had a president from the Niger Delta. And then also there was the amnesty program for Niger Delta militants. What is the problem? The average Nigerian is likely to ask. Is it that we still have issues of environmental degradation, conflict between oil companies and host communities? Let me start with you.
Well, thank you. The truth is, the amnesty actually was pronounced and then implemented. But the problems there is to implement the activities or the things that we agreed that led to the pronouncement of the amnesty. Giving the amnesty is one part, but also inviting the IOCs that are operating in our areas, in the Niger Delta areas, is another thing, because the IOCs are going out of their company, their corporate social responsibility. Then we are supposed to take it as a very keen, as a very major task to developing those communities where they explore their oil from. For instance, there is a problem going on in River State, in one of the Niger Delta communities, in Kola Kingdom, between the OML 25, and their host communities, and that of the OML 18 and its host communities. Now, these are some of the things that raises, the insecurity in the area, because when the government of the people initiates what they call the GMOU. Now, the GMOU is a platform where a particular group of people would be mediating between the host communities and the IOCs, and of course government. But a situation where this GMOU will be formed and then being politicized. You see that those people that were appointed to do the needful to protect the community, because they were being appointed instead of leaving the monarchs single-handedly to do those things with what the GMOU said. Now you see that the government officials will be interested on who amongst the people to be the chairman of a board or secretary of a board, because that person will be protecting their own interest. So those are the things that raises this conflict. For instance, In Kola Kingdom, you will have a situation where the Shell is operating on OMO 25 for several years. And there is nothing to show for in the community. I am directly impacted. I'm directly affected to this case. Now, along the line, the people said they are not comfortable with what Shell is doing, and they have been complaining over years. Even though the state government raised, put an embargo that let there be nobody shutting down any oil companies. Now, that also gives a platform for the oil companies to intimidate and victimize the host communities. You know, it's like the government and both and them are doing abetting and abetting agenda, because the government have said nobody should make any protest, nobody should do anything, and now the company is deliberately victimizing and impoverishing the community.
So let me ask you a question about that then, because aside from rent-seeking and royalties that are often looked for from IOCs and the NNPC, in terms of economic prosperity, let's talk about the solution. What exactly do we need to see now from IOCs in terms of giving to the economic prosperity of these affected communities? What would you like to see?
Yes, Emmanuel. Let Emmanuel, Bristola, Alagbarira take that. Yeah.
Okay, I think before I address some of those issues, let me lay the foundation. Now, the Niger Delta people have not seen themselves as being part of the Nigerian state. They are just like today what we have in this country, or what is going on now, the religious celebration. You own a cow, you feed the cow because you want to kill the cow. It is not as if you're feeding the cow because you love the cow. So the Niger Delta region is, today we're being accepted in this country because of our peculiar value as a people. Now, we have not seen ourselves as being part of Nigeria in the sense that we should contribute, we should have freedom of participation. If you also look at the laws of our country, the democratic system of governance does not favor the Niger Delta people in terms of legislation, because decision in the legislative chamber is based on majority perception and view. And states were divided in a way that it will favor certain region, because in terms of representation at the National Assembly, some regions are perpetually disadvantaged and they'll be disadvantaged forever. If they want to advance their opinion before it will be accepted, it means that they must win the sympathy of the majority region, which is not good. Then two, the Nigerian states too, before this time, we know how revenues were shared. But now it has to do with oil. Even the 13%, it was out of struggle. Agitation from youth groups and everything before these 13% were accepted and also implemented. Now that it was implemented, even the state governors, based on the political party by which they emerge from, because they don't have ideology. If they have ideology, when they canvass for elective offices, they must have a blueprint on how to develop Nigeria, and the Niger Delta will be given preferential treatment. If I want to refresh our knowledge again, before President Muhammadu Buhari fell sick, that Osibanjo acted in his capacity as the acting president of this country when the Avengers were busy bombing the Niger Delta region out of anger. He went to fact-finding mission and also to restore the confidence of the region that the federal government, this leadership, has the full interest to develop the region. And part of the demands that were placed that the IOCs should, as the first step forward, they should relocate their head offices to the Niger Delta region. And it was accepted. Pronouncements were made. Till date, nothing has been done. I'm not being peculiar about this government. When I say government, it means that successive government, even the one of Goodluck Jonathan. You understand me? So now, nothing has been done till this time. It was even you mentioned amnesty program. The amnesty program is a comprehensive package. Because one, at the peak of the agitation, when Nigerian states could not produce or maximize their OPEC quota of 2 million barrels or so, or 2.2 million barrels per day, it depleted down to the level of 400 million barrels. So Nigeria economy was highly threatened. In order for us to move forward and for the oil companies to resume operation, this amnesty deal was initiated. That these persons that took up, and just like our brother, they sacrificed, they paid the ultimate price. They were in the creek, they deprived themselves, their family, comfort, everything, just to press for that Nigerian state must listen to us.
But gentlemen, let me raise a question. I mean, this is an old issue.
Yes.
We've been at it. It's
Yes.
right at the heart of the Nigerian national question. Since the Willings Commission,
Yes.
since Adakaburu,
Yes.
and all of that. And, you know, somebody who is not from the Niger Delta listening to you, I go back to that point, is likely to say, well, the Nigerian government has taken some steps. We even have the Niger Delta Development Commission. We also have many of these issues that you are raising about the IOCs and issues of corruption and environmental degradation being addressed in the Petroleum Industry Bill.
Yes.
Right? And then at the National Political Conference in 2014, there was some debate around derivation and all of that. And now, as I said earlier, there is an opportunity to further review the federal allocation revenue formula. Now, when you say, you know, people are still agitated, what should we expect? Are we going to see another round of violence in the Niger Delta in terms of people attacking Christmas trees, attacking IOCs and their installations, or this is just at the level of advocacy? But before you answer, the two of you, Sobomabo and Bristola, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll come back to you. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Still with us in the studio are two youth leaders and environmental activists from the Niger Delta, Sobomabo Jackrich and Bristola Alagbarira Emmanuel. And before we went on break, gentlemen, I'd asked you, what's going to happen? Is this all about just advocacy, or we're likely to see another round of disruptions in the Niger Delta?
Okay, now there are steps by the federal government to assuage our pain, to address our issues. But at the same time, again, it's like giving a carrot to the right hand, you're taking it to the left hand. Call for the establishment of these agencies, NDDC, Niger Delta Ministry, and other agencies. But at the same time, it is the government, via their political structure, that appoints stooges to manage these agencies. Now, because of we have minority from the region, when they go to the House for budget approval, they stampede them, bully them, negotiate. I'm talking about negotiating their personal interest in the budgetary provision of these agencies. And that alone has led to the several abandoned projects that today has colored the entire Niger Delta region. The federal government, if they were so serious as to solve our problem, they should have equally established, in collaboration with EFCC, measures in investigating the implementation of these projects.
Interesting.
Now the state governors and these agencies were supposed to work together to develop the region, but they are working in different directions. Even the Amnesty Office carries out development projects. The Niger Delta Ministry carries out projects. The Niger Delta Development Commission carries out projects. They don't have a comprehensive developmental plan for the region. There should have been a plan that everybody, both the state governments, the local governments, those agencies will work in line with this plan. So that if you're handling this direction, this other person is handling this direction, collectively you see the beauty of the region manifest. They have equally not done anything about economic growth. Entrepreneurship in the region is dying every day. Businesses are leaving the region because of insecurity, of which the insecurity in Niger Delta is not peculiar to Niger Delta alone. Even in Lagos here, across the country, there are incidents of kidnapping. And there is one truth we must accept. When the kidnapping started in Niger Delta region, it was not for economic purpose. It was intended to push our demands that we must come to a round table and discuss our challenges, our issues.
That leads me to ask...
Sorry, let me land. So when we started in the region, people started kidnapping. Along the line, criminality crept into it, where people started making profit from it, kidnapping for ransom. And people felt that, okay, it was Nigerians, it was Nigeria's problem. Let them destroy themselves. IOCs, other companies, leave the region to a more secure environment. But the one thing that connects Nigeria, that connects all of us together, is the issue of poverty. The poverty that is here is the same poverty that is in the north across board. As people from the region now saw an economic profit from it by taking ransom, the poverty mentality that made people from other regions now to now call for ransom. You know. Today now, so let me just finalize by saying, today now, like Suwere has called for revolution. People are asking, what is his problem? What if people with genuine problem now cause for revolution? From Niger Delta.
But you see, all those problems you've defined in the Niger Delta, you may say stooges, but those people you refer to as stooges, they are from the Niger Delta. I'm not aware that anybody apart from persons from the Niger Delta has manned, NDDC maybe once, or the Niger Delta Ministry, or the Amnesty Program. So why should that be a problem for the rest of Nigeria?
No, in the board.
If your own people cannot deliver on the mandate.
It's not only the Niger Delta people. In the board, there's a reflection of federal character. They have people from the north in the Niger Delta, in the NDDC board.
But the chairmanship is rotated among the oil-bearing states.
Now, how do they appoint the chairman? Do the people, are they giving the people the privilege and opportunity to appoint? To appoint chairman. It is this same Aso Rock where people spend so much money lobbying, manipulating. So when they spend this huge amount of money, what do you expect them to do?
Do you have evidence on that?
We know that there are no evidence, but we know that because as leaders, we interface with them. And you get the truth when they leave office. Okay. Sometimes when they're embarrassed and leave office, they now tell you, regrettably, what they spent and what they went through. And some of them regret that they did not even make as much as they should have made.
Now, my knowledge of the Niger Delta, and I'd admit it to you, only came, I'd say, about 6-7 years ago when I watched a particular movie that was not allowed to air in Nigeria. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, Black November. And that is the first time I saw the entire situation from the viewpoint of the quote-unquote militants that are in the creeks protecting their people. Now, this is a position that you took up. You took up the position of making sure that you were in a position to protect your people, no matter how the world saw it. And even though the world is only really starting to understand now, the truth of the matter is you have been at the forefront of this subject for years. What led you to transition from quote-unquote former warlord to someone that has put themselves in a position to try and tackle this entire Niger Delta situation from a different standpoint?
Yes. After weighing the options between violent change and the non-violent change, I came to understand that our youth have died much more years ago than what is happening now. Because when you begin to, involve yourself in the armed struggle, though it gives quick attention, because that was actually what informed this armed struggle. When you talk non-violently, sometimes the Nigerian government, keep their fears. So we resort to violent change, to armed struggle. Now, we have done all that in the past. We also saw that it was not better, it was not proper. It was not the best way of making any agitation. And that is why today, after the amnesty, some of us genuinely turned a new look even though we are still in the cause of freedom and fighting, we want to fight the cause with a non-violent way. We have now ambassadors of, non-violent, talking to our brothers and sisters over there in the Niger Delta. But look at one very sensitive thing that we don't need to avoid. What he was saying about the federal government is also applicable to the state government. It is not just this federal government. The federal government, in their part, have tried their best. I am one of the persons who opposes the system. But right now, I came to understand that what even our people have not done, one way or the other, is being done right now. For instance, my own worry now and fears is that this kind of agitation we're talking about may surface again if things are not put, appropriately. A situation whereby an indigenous company has up to 7% of shares of equity in OML 25, and that same facility was being divested to a different company who does not even partake, a company that is actually not to be seen as qualified. A company that was incorporated from between 2013 and 14, giving such this. Meanwhile, an indigenous company that have shown competence from that area, as I'm speaking to you, is a shareholder of that facility.
Who is this person?
I'm talking about Belema Oil Producing Company. Now, Belema Oil Producing Company has about 7.7% of shares in OML 25. Yet was not given the first right of refusal.
But are you aware that the allocation of mining licenses, either OPL or OML, is at the discretion of the Minister of Petroleum?
Oh yes, we are trying to say, Shell, we are actually the people that are operating on that field. Now Shell is, divesting all their, their facilities on the onshore,
swamp,
on the swampy areas to go to deep,
offshore.
Deep offshore. Now, this deep offshore they are going, is to make sure that the local players in the industry participate, have experience, and especially those of them that have shown competence. Well, I remember the last time when the vice president again came to Rivers State, he said they want to have an open field to see where any Niger Delta or any indigenous company that have proven capacity to be in the field.
These are issues that have already been covered by the Petroleum Industry Bill. We hope that it will be passed. And then, of course, there is in place a local content development commission that is right there in Yena.
No, if you follow
the structures are in place.
The local content law.
Is this strictly about OML 25 and the interests of Belema Oil Producing Company, or about the framework for...
We are talking, these are the things that ignite crisis. We are looking at what exactly is causing the crisis. Because now, for example, if a government have said that in my state, I don't want you to go shut down any oil installation or whatever, any IOC, because report to me. And then you'll be reporting to the same government over years, and they give deaf ears. Now, what will you in return do? Is it not to go by yourself, to go do what the government said it shouldn't do? Because the only way the Nigerian government, especially the state government, is when you go down to say, no, today don't do your work. Now they will now frame you with cult name, or I say you're a cultist, or you're a militant, or whatever. Okay. But deliberately they are in connivance with the...
Unfortunately, we don't have more time. We'll need to wrap this up. Yes. But if we leave the veil quickly, in 1 second, who is the owner of this Belema Oil Producing Company? If we leave the veil.
Yes, his name is Jackrich Jr.
Oh,
Is the founder.
That's your
Same as
name.
you.
Yes, that is why I said it is. I am
we'll need to
directly
go.
involved in
Well,
it.
It is time for a break,
Bristol,
unfortunately.
we don't have
have
much
run
Let
out
me
of
just
time.
explain about the Belma oil.
No,
Just
there
We
isn't
have
time.
run out of time.